Hello everyone, today we talk about the Bitcoin and the Altcoin 2021, the remaining days. You can see in here that this is the chart about the Bitcoin dominance and divided by the Bitcoin price. This is this green and purple is the Bitcoin price, and this red and blue in the regular chart in here. This is the Bitcoin dominance. As you can see that since we start in the 2020 when the Bitcoin price is up, and you can see in here in the Q4 last year the Bitcoin dominance is going to down. So when the price is going to up, but the altcoin is much stronger in here is going to down. That's why after that, since the crash, after the price is going down in here, you can see that there is some the opposite direction. The first, the first in here, starting the August. In August, we can see that the price going to up. We know that all altcoins are parabolic, but as you can see, and here that the alt season is coming. That's why when the Bitcoin is going to up and then the altcoin is going to up and much crazy, that's why the Bitcoin dominance is down. However, in here in the Q4, we know like some other channel like the Benjamin Coin or the same Q4 is the Bitcoin is the king. That's why you can see when the Bitcoin is going to up, the Bitcoin dominance is also going to up in here, starting to September until October. Now in here, when the oil price is going down, everything is going to down. That's why the altcoin is the bleeding. Now you can see here is the very strong chart. We retest from the May, we retest from the September, and now December we're going to retest again. This indication said that the altcoin haven't come sooner because they need to wait a little longer. I don't think that in this 2021, the remaining 2 weeks, maybe there is the out season. No way. Because what happened now, what I'm looking for is like this one. Let's draw it. Okay, this one. Look, in here, this gonna pump. In here, as I can tell you that the Sun in Capricorn gonna happen soon in the next 2 days, 3 days. So next week, certainly there is a bull for the Bitcoin. I think it's just the Bitcoin. That's why the Bitcoin must to go up a bit longer. Maybe not hit to this orange color. Maybe just sign like this one. Yeah, it's possible like some retest and that's just going to down. That's why we need to see the Bitcoin is the king and Bitcoin just to fly alone first, like what happened in the September. In the September, just Bitcoin will go up. Everything is sideways. That's why when the Bitcoin up, the Bitcoin dominance is also going up. That's why we need to see the next week for the Bitcoin is going up. But if your altcoin stays still stable sideways, don't worry because that's the everything the scenario that we needed. That's why maybe in the mid January or maybe late January, so that's the alt season is begin. That's why you need to stay a bit longer. However, that's the the average scenario. So if you're asking me about the the optimist scenario, let's see about the total trade. So if you see in the trading view, the total trade is about the all coins. So this is the all crypto exclude Bitcoin and also exclude Ethereum. Why we need to exclude both of them? That's all system that you need to see, right? So let's hide this one. Okay, in here let's just focus into let's zoom it. So in here you can focus about this blue one. Blue one is about the exponential moving average 21. So look in the April when the crash happened, they hit this exactly blue line, exactly this blue line for the closing the weekly candle and just going a bit to get the dead bonds and just going down. This 1 month, yeah, 4 weeks is the very depressing moment. Why? Because we closed below 21 EMA. But you see, this is just a fake out to make a retail sell. In here, you can see the bullish continue. In here is to retest, but you can see we never retest EMA 21. Never. The retest happened in the Q4 too. Starting the November exactly. this line same like what happened in the 17 May weekly chart, exactly close at blue one. This is exactly close at blue one, and if you see, look, in the last three weeks, we have the dip, we have the wick. Here is the wick, but we always close above this blue line. So what we need to see is this altcoin, as exclude Ethereum, need to close above this line. So far we close above this line, so we are fairly bullish. That's why I'm telling you that this bullish in the July, we haven't retest 21. That's why there is no alt season, because we haven't retest. In here, it's not a retest, it's just going sideways, going down a bit, and still going up. That's why this is the first momentum after this July bullish. That's why we needed to stay here a little bit longer. That's why it's already 3 weeks. So if there is a very optimistic probability scenario, so maybe next week when the Bitcoin is fly, so to the altcoin, then maybe the altcoin gonna happen sooner. That's why stay tuned to here. This is the weekly candle. In the next 12 hours, we can see the upcoming close, and we will see what's the direction. But if you can see the total two is about the altcoin compared to the Ethereum. Sorry, total coin, altcoin plus Ethereum. So the excluded one is the Bitcoin. In here, so far, if we included the Ethereum, they are almost retest in September, and now always close in here. So we can see the Ethereum is weak in September, but now Ethereum is stronger in December. That's why we just retest in here. That's why I think the altcoin is a bit much better than the Ethereum in September, but now Ethereum is stronger. But everything is still bullish. You can see in there. So this is just the retest that we needed, because if you see in the 2021, everything is just a mega sideways like that. And now for the total crypto asset in here. Okay, if you see in here, we know that the Bitcoin is worse than the altcoin. That's why the weekly candle is close below 21 EMA. In here, in the September, we retest the 21 EMA, and then just going up. That's why we can see in the September, the Bitcoin is worse than the other altcoin, and so do in this week, because we close below this line. But no worry, why? Because in here also happened that we are so close below 21, but I draw this line. Why? This line is around the 45 moving average. I think you can use 50 or 55 moving average. Why I use 45? Because yeah, I just want to see the total crypto asset, and in here this is the very desperate moment, and this is the momentum. That's why I try to match this area, and that this is the momentum base. And now after this hit in this 19 July, it's go bullish. That's why I told you that this is the very worst scenario. What we need, maybe we just stay like in the 21 June, so there is another 1 month depressing moment in here. So this is the very depressing, and then just going up. That's why my worst scenario is until the late January we can still going down until to here. So the total market cap is about 1.9 trillion US dollar. Yeah, in here maybe this is the very soft support, and we haven't touched it again. My definition of a touch is about this, like this one, not about this one, not this one, but this one. That's why we haven't touched this line. But this is my very worst scenario, but I don't think that this is gonna happen. Why? Because as I told you in my last video about the important date for the Bitcoin, let's open it again. Okay, this one, remember this line I draw you about the Mercury Sun in Capricorn in here. Next week is gonna the first week we touch the Sun in Capricorn, and also you can see this is the very important day. That's because this is the Mercury retrograde. We going to up. Maybe let's move to 1 day, so make you more believe about this area. Look, Mercury, first Mercury retrograde in here, we pump. Second Mercury retrograde, which is going sideways. Why? Because in here we have the Mercury sextile Jupiter, and also this is the new moon is going to crash. That's why after the crash, Mercury retrograde is just going sideways. But in here, Mercury retrograde is going to bullish. So the next, the nearest item is the full moon. We have the bullish. As just in here we have new moon, crash, and this is the full moon again. And here no new moon. In here is new moon. And today we have the full moon. If you check, full moon happened in the around 6 hours ago. You can see that in the one chart there is a very mega pump for the one chart. Yeah, maybe you can see in here in the 1 hours. If you check to your local time for the new moon, you can Google it and change to your local time. Around this, wait, let's move. Okay, around this 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, 3. This area is about the full moon. So when the full moon happen exactly at this local time, and then it's just so bullish. That's why it's a good sign. Yeah, I know that everything is going to down, down, down. But what I can tell you that the people respect about the full moon, so they give signal to the bullish after 3 hours and then just going to down to retest. But overall, I think next is very bullish, and I'm still optimist. Yeah, and the most important line is this one. Look, this is the line that we need to break. Why? Because this is the lower high, lower high, lower high, and this haven't touched yet. So if we touch this one, but we cannot break, so maybe we can see the Bitcoin to level the 44k thousand US dollar for the Bitcoin. But yeah, we need this is the best, the worst scenario. But let's aim first. Our aim is when entering this circle, sorry, this yellow line for the sun in Capricorn, we're gonna see that the Bitcoin gonna break this line in the 21 December. So let's see. This is the very crucial moment that we need to break. So let's wait to this power line. Maybe next week gonna discuss again for the Bitcoin USD. So that's for today. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to give your likes button and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you.